A few years ago, my friends and I were trying to decide what to wear for Halloween. We settled on Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and my friend decided to be Daddy Bear. We thought she should wear a tie to show that. The only problem was we were teenage girls who didn't know how to tie a tie. Luckily, I had learned beforehand, and it was surprisingly easy. In the end, I tied the tie for her, and the costumes looked great. And I also learned tying a tie is an important skill to have. That's just one example. How often are people actually wearing ties? Well, according to Alarna Hope from the Australian Broadcasting Company, ties are generally reserved for formal and business occasions. That means some workplaces, job interviews, milestone birthdays, weddings, funerals, and for some, court. Now that's a lot of events, but even if you don't wear a tie yourself, learning also helps family members, such as partners and children. Now I learned from my dad and online. My dad first taught me the half Windsor knot, and then I found it interesting, so I looked up others online. I've also had several opportunities to practice. The first was when I tied the knot for my friend when she was one of the Three Bears. And then the second was for a mismatched spirit day at my school. The three ways to knot a tie are a four-in-hand knot, a half Windsor knot, and a full Windsor knot. Let's start by discussing the first knot. The first way to knot a tie is a four-in-hand knot. It's important to note with any tie that you should have a keeper loop on the wider end. This is to ensure that when you tuck the narrow end in, it'll stay there. It won't be all over the place. A tie should also be made of a good material, hopefully silk or something like it, because formal events require formal ties, and silk is smooth, so it's easier to work with. What you don't want is something that looks a little cheaper, like polyester. You can see the thread on it. It doesn't look great for formal events. So to start tying, I'm going to grab this red tie here, and I'm going to put it on. And you want to make sure the narrow end ends at your belly button. Now to create the knot, you only want to move the wide end, okay? So we're going to wrap this completely around just once. You should be able to see the right seam. And then I'm going to wrap it around again, only for the front, and tuck it through from back to front. And you'll see you have a knot here. What you want to do is bring this wide end and tuck it in. Now it's not going to look great at first. It's going to require some adjusting. So I am going to grab this narrow end and grab the knot itself and pull up. And then we'll make sure the sides are flat, the top is covered. You want to make sure you can't see the knot underneath. Now I can't see it myself, so it might not look the best. But in the end, it should be covered. And then remember to use the keeper's loop and tuck the narrow end in. And this is the four-in-hand knot. It's a lot skinnier than some of the other knots. Okay, next I will discuss the second knot. The second way to knot a tie is a half Windsor knot. So I have another tie here. This one is green. I'm going to put it on the exact same way. It's important to note the wide end should always be on your right. That's so it looks neat and suits and it doesn't look unbalanced. Now we can start tying this one. So I'm going to wrap it completely around just once and pull through from the front. So wrap it around, pull through from the front, and it should end up in the back left. Then I'm going to wrap it around the front again, bring it to the back, and pull through again. And then you'll still have this knot, so you want to do the same thing. Take the wide end, pull it through. Again, it'll require some adjusting, so I'm going to grab the narrow end, pull the knot upwards. You'll see this one is a bit wider, but adjusting is the exact same. You just want to make sure everything's covered and that the knot is at the base of your neck. And then this is the half Windsor knot done. Okay, lastly, I will discuss the third knot. The third way to knot a tie is a full Windsor knot. So I'm going to grab this tie here. It is black with gold squares. Again, make sure you're putting the wide side on the right. And since this one requires a few more steps, you actually want to give yourself more length on this side. So I'm going to go a little bit higher than the belly button. So the first step is to just pass this over and immediately pull through. Next, I'm going to again go to the left, but bring it all the way around this time. And I'm going to actually bring it over instead of under. After this step, you should have a triangle on each side, one on the left, one on the right. And then the last knot, I'll just pass it over the front, go to the back, and pull through here. Again, you're going to have the same knot right here, and you want to bring this wider end and tuck it in here. And again, adjusting is the exact same way. You grab the narrow end, pull up, make sure the flaps are right, especially with this one. This can be visible. You don't want that. You want it to be all the way up at the top. And then this is the full Windsor knot done. Okay. I'll wrap up with a few important details. Here's exactly what you need to know about each knot. The 4-in-hand knot is the simplest and the skinniest. It's best with a collar button down and a solid colored tie. The half Windsor knot is thicker and a little bit more complex. It's more formal as well, and it works best with suits. The full Windsor knot is the most complex, and it's for formal occasions only. It works great with a collared button down or a suit. If you're still wondering how to pick, according to Alana Foster from Copenhagen Fashion Summit, picking the right knot depends on where you're going and what you're wearing. Different tie knots suit different events and dress codes. Consider your collar width, tie fabric, and the impression you want to make.